Good day everyone, this is Randolph B. Newman from Biscrinto Section 3. For today's video, I'm going to discuss the far out of biogeochemical cycles that occur in nature. Material are made up of living things find their way back to the physical environment and are used by other living organisms. Such as cycling process of materials ensures the continuous supply much needed materials to sustain life in ecosystem, and these pathways are called biogeochemical cycles. The biogeochemical cycles are water cycle, oxygen carbon dioxide cycle, nitrogen cycle, and phosphorus cycle. First, I will discuss the water or hydrologic cycle. This is my drawing of water cycle. First, we have to need body of water just like this small fan. Next, evaporation. From bodies of water, release water vapor into the atmosphere. After that, the process of condensation changes water vapor back into liquid water forming clouds above. Then, they return back to earth in process called precipitation, which may be formed in rain, snow, and other forms of precipitation. And with it precipitates or its rain, the water in the ground infiltrates into the soil in a process called infiltration. When excess rainwater can no longer sufficiently filtrate the soil, it flows or runs over the land surface. It may stay stagnant on the land, or it may combine to other bodies of water. After this, evaporation will occur again, hence the water cycle. Aside from this process, we also have one process which occur among the plants, and it is transpiration. Transpiration is simply the evaporation of water from the leaves of the plant. It also contributes to the amount of water vapor in our atmosphere. And that is a very brief explanation of the water cycle. Next is oxygen carbon dioxide cycle. This is my drawing. Humans use oxygen for bodily process just like most living organism, animals, and plants also breathe in oxygen. When we exhale, we release carbon dioxide, which is then used by plants in photosynthesis. They use this to create simple sugars of food. As a byproduct, they release oxygen, and this oxygen returns to the atmosphere. Now, this free oxygen is the one which we inhale. The oxygen in the atmosphere in our environment is the one we inhale back to our metabolic process, and then the cycle goes on. We are done with water cycle and oxygen. Let's proceed to nitrogen cycle. This is my drawing of nitrogen cycle. Our atmosphere is made of 78 nitrogen. We need the nitrogen for our DNA and for proteins, but we just can't breathe in the nitrogen like oxygen. But we must observe our nitrogen in our food. Nitrogen follows a cycle where it travels from the atmosphere to the soil, to animals, and back, and in a cycle. Nitrogen in the atmosphere falls to the earth by precipitation such as rain or snow. Once in the soil, it finds its way to bacteria on the root of plants. At the roots, the nitrogen is combined with hydrogen to make ammonia. In a process called nitrogen fixation, lightning in the atmosphere can also do this. Now ammonia is toxic, so additional bacteria combine this ammonia with oxygen in a process called nitrogen fixation. At this point, the nitrogen is in form called nitrite. Additional nitrifying bacteria convert this nitrite to nitrate. At this point, plants can absorb this nitrogen in a process called assimilation. However, not all the nitrate is absorbed, but some of it goes to the bacteria. that release the nitrogen to the atmosphere in a process called denitrifying. The nitrogen returns to the atmosphere also once after it eats the plants. The animal either dies or needs to get rid to or waste. Another type of bacteria then takes this and along with decomposers and breaks this nitrogen either in the waste of dead animal, and by a process called modification, the nitrogen can enter the cycle once again at nitrification, and the cycle continues. I hope that helps with the nitrogen cycle, which is how nitrogen keeps recycling itself. Last one, phosphorus cycle. This is my drawing. Rocks contain phosphorus. The gathering of rocks, for example, those found in the mountains will cause the formation of underground phosphate reserve. This phosphate will be absorbed by plants, and when the plants are eaten by animals, they will also be incorporated into the body of the animals. When these plants and animals die, they are composed and broken down, and the phosphate in these dead organisms will be released back to the environment, adding to the phosphate reserve on land. This phosphate reserve can leach toward a body of water. Aside from that, the phosphate containing fertilizers from farmlands can also run off the two bodies of water. Additionally, the phosphate from the weathered rocks can be carried through the water and contribute a formation of phosphate sediment in the underwater. Consequently, the underwater phosphate reserve. This process will soon contribute to the formation of a new rock. Then, the new rock, which contains phosphorus, will undergo weathering, releasing phosphate back into the environment. And then, the phosphorus cycle goes on. Biogeochemical cycles. Other geochemical cycles said to be fast ways of method. One step through because they are any of the natural outlets by which essential elements of living organisms are circulated. They show that matter is recycled in any of these cycles, and because of this biogeochemical cycles, these essential elements are brought back and used by living organisms. And that is all for today's video. Again, this is Randolph Newman. Thank you for listening. God bless. Bye bye.